Hello once again from the Digital Weather Center in Atlanta. We are joining you once more for Facebook Live following the developments on the damaged emergency spillway at Lake Oroville in Northern California. So we promised we would come back with additional updates, and here we are. And there have been at least close to 200,000 people that have been ordered to evacuate. We should mention specifically that the dam itself is intact and reported to be doing just fine. Again, it is the spillways that have suffered damage, the two main spillways. And right now joining us live is Wendy Aguilar, who is with KOVR CBS 13 in Sacramento. And Wendy, you've been covering this. Tell us what the latest update is.
Yes, we've been out here all day. We arrived around 5, and let me tell you, this whole area is completely closed. No one is allowed past 5 miles from the Butte County line. Nobody but first responders and, of course, news crews allowed out here. Now, where I'm standing, I'm just left of that dam right now, but take a look. This is where all that action is taking place. All morning we've seen big trucks coming up here, and they are loaded with big rocks. Now they are unloading that big rock over here, and this is where those big machines are taking that big rock and they're putting it into bags. Now what's supposed to happen after that, they have all these bags lined up, and helicopters are supposed to pick those up, and they will be dropping those off in that erosion area, that affected area. And the hope is that they'll have enough rocks in there to be able to at least control or stop the erosion at this point. A lot of people, like you mentioned, have been evacuated from their homes. We talked to one family, and this family, they actually tell me that the woman, Maggie, she saw when that dam was built when she was younger, and she says that she always feared that one day something like this might happen, but she never thought that she would see it in her lifetime. So we did talk to them earlier today, and very concerned about what's going on, especially because we have more rain on the way. Again, a very busy morning. We've been up here since 5 in the morning, and you see those trucks coming in one after the other. Crews have been working nonstop. They're working around the clock, and they're working as fast as they can. A lot of people are coming out here taking photos as well. They've never seen anything like this.
Yeah, I'm sure. And you were saying that we knew that the California Department of Water Resources was considering using the helicopters to drop those loads of rock, and that is eventually what you're showing us behind you. That's going on to the eroded spillway, correct?
Yes, that is correct. Those helicopters, you see them, those helicopters landed around 8 this morning. Both of those landed, but they haven't moved just yet. Now, there's a lot of helicopters up there also that they are surveying the area, and they're looking at this area to make sure that they're going to be able to do this later today. But for now, those helicopters are on standby. Now, another thing that's happening here, no drones, nobody else is allowed to fly right now because there's so many helicopters. Like I said, sheriffs is out there as well, so a lot of use on the airways right now.
And there's so many people out there behind you, and I know that there are law enforcement officers that have been posted around the dam and the evacuation routes because they're concerned about looting and other criminal activity for the people who have been asked to evacuate. I always find that so sad in situations like this, that they feel that they have to even do that.
Yes, that is one sad concern for a lot of the residents who had to evacuate their homes, because as they're out there, you know, people do take advantage of some of these situations. But we did see a lot of police, a lot of deputies out there that are monitoring the area, because all these homes have been left behind, and this happened yesterday. Now, at this point, we don't know when those evacuation orders are going to be lifted. So if you can imagine, all those homes are out there unattended. Those families are out in shelters right now. So many shelters have opened up in our area, and of course some people are staying with their families. The family that we talked to earlier today, they are staying up on north of this dam, and that they're staying with family. So But their main concern is their home left behind, and of course to see what's going to happen as that rain comes back later this week. But
yeah,
like I
and
said,
life
very busy
has
work
been put on
behind me
hold for a lot of
all
these
day.
people, and we know that you spoke with one family. Let's hear what one of them had to say.
Used to be afraid as a little girl that the dam was going to break because that was always the big concern when they first built it. But I've never been afraid all these years until yesterday. And when my friend got word from her son who works for CAL FIRE that hour and a half imminent failure, I grabbed my banking statements, my insurance papers, passports. I grabbed family photos and no food, which was silly. Well, you know, I have a lot of faith in engineers. Hopefully they'll figure this out. I have 2 engineers in my family, so, you know, we're all hoping that they can apply the science they've learned and fix it.
Again, just one of many stories that you've been hearing about.
Yes, and the big concern is, I mean, when you have such little time to evacuate from your home, what do you take with you? And how do you know that you're coming back to see your home? I mean, it could go either way, but a lot of people out here concerned about not only their valuable stuff left behind their home, but also what is going to happen as this moves forward and that rain comes back later this week. Like I said, also the residents who live on the north side of this, they haven't evacuated. They haven't been forced to evacuate, but they're out here looking at this because, like I said, they've never seen anything like that. And of course, here in California, we've been dealing with a lot of drought. So it's been a while since we've even seen any rain. And from earlier this year that we started to see a lot of rain this winter, and now to see this happening is people, I've just never seen anything like this.
No, I mean, it's Monday. People would normally be going to work, getting their kids to school, and life for the moment is just on hold because we know this isn't going to be wrapped up in a day or two.
Yes, everything is on hold for now because at this point they don't know when they're going to be able to return to their homes. So the big concern is eating and food and their clothing and things like that. And of course the kids who are going to school, that's also on hold because they won't be able to go back to school. Those people who work in the area, when do they go back to work? A lot of unanswered questions at this point.
Well, let's get back to the situation that is actually going on and give people at least a little bit of some good news. They did say that the water that was flowing out of the lake at nearly twice the rate as the water that was flowing into it, and that the levels did come down a bit overnight, but still that was not enough to let them feel secure in allowing people to go back to their homes even for a brief period of time.
That is correct. So it's just a brief moment where people can breathe again to see those levels of water coming down a little bit. But again, that concern grows as that water is supposed to come back later this week. And that's why crews are out here. They've been out here all day. They're working nonstop. And those are big, heavy rocks that these machines are moving. And just on the other side of where we're standing, that's where they're keeping those bags. And there's a number of bags that are just lined up and ready to go at this point. And so you see helicopters up there. And earlier today, we also saw a sheriff's helicopter out here as well, but that one has since taken off this morning. But again, those trucks are coming up the hill and going back down, bringing all that rock, and it hasn't stopped all morning since we arrived here at 5 this morning. A lot of people are out here just watching all this happening right in front of their eyes. There's some homes here to my right and some homes in front of me as well, and all these people are coming out. And again, everything has stopped for the people who live up here. You can see one of those trucks moving up the mountain right now, and probably will be back up to drop off more of that rock.
People seem to have confidence in what the officials are telling them.
Yes, in fact, that family that I talked to earlier today, they tell me that they are hoping for the best and that they see all this work that's taking place out here. They see all this attention being paid attention to all this area right here. And so they feel very confident that they're going to be able to repair this and put this under control.
was, of course, when we started seeing the problems with the emergency spillway when a hole developed there on Sunday afternoon, and that's when everything really started to take a dramatic turn, and a lot of people have really just been baffled that, you know, you had one situation with one spillway followed by another so quickly afterwards. I mean, this has just been unreal.
Yes, and it just happens so fast. And like I said, it's something that people are not used to seeing, especially because we've been dealing with drought. So every year we're dealing with the fact that we have no water. We have to cut back on water. And that's been the big concern for many years up here. And so when you see this rain coming earlier this year, okay, we're getting rain and everybody's excited because all of a sudden we are getting some rain, a much needed rain, but then it gets out of control. And like you mentioned, it all happened so fast last Sunday when that broke, and all of a sudden we are here, fast forward to now, and this is what's happening. A big concern out here. We have agencies from the local, federal, all the way to the federal out here, and they're working to fix this, of course.
And, you know, this is the first time that they've ever had to even use that emergency spillway. It's been almost 50 years.
Exactly. So this is the first time. And of course, when something like this happens, you don't know what's going to happen because it's an emergency situation. So because it's never happened before, this is all new for everybody who's out here. And of course, we have some very bright people and, you know, again, many agencies from the local to the federal level working around the clock to try to figure out how to best solve all of this.
So we know that the threat came down just a little bit overnight, just a little bit. But the goal, of course, is to get the most amount of water that they can out by the middle of the week, because that's when there is more rain in the forecast. And I feel like that's going to be up on us so quick. So quick.
Yes, it is going to happen. And that's why you see that these people out here are working against the clock and they're racing and they're going as fast as they can because, yes, we are on a time crunch. We are on a deadline. You know, they have to get this figured out. They have to get this fixed before we get another drop of rain, because otherwise this can mean a lot of trouble. And so, yes, they have been able to get that water to come down. But again, the work continues out here. A lot of urgent work at this moment. And a lot of people have their confidence that they'll be able to solve this and they'll be able to return to their homes and hope for the best, of course.
Absolutely. We should also point out that the spillways are independent structures from the dam. We do want to re-emphasize that the Oroville Dam is sound, but there's still the fact that you have these two spillways for the dam that are both damaged, and they've been using the main spillway to relieve the pressure on the emergency spillway, which some are referring to as the earthen spillway, just because it helps them identify a little bit better. But they just don't want to risk more serious damage, so some huge decisions are being made, I'm sure, just round the clock at this point.
Yes, that's exactly right. And yes, a lot of people are out here. They're surveying all the area, and that's why there's a lot of helicopters that are flying above us. And there's a lot of people also on the ground, and they're inspecting everything, just making sure that they move in the right direction and they make the best steps to try to fix this problem. And they are busy working highway patrols right over there. Like I said, no one is allowed in this area right now. The road is closed just 5 miles away from the Butte County line. And as soon as you drive up here, there's not a lot of cars out there. The only cars that you see are mostly first responders and, of course, news crews. There's a lot of news crews out here as well.
And I know you guys are going to be covering this for quite some time, and we really appreciate you being with us here for today and giving us this firsthand account of the information, because it is such a serious story and our hearts are breaking for the people that are involved in this. So this is Wendy Aguilar. She's been kind enough to join us from CBS 13 out in Sacramento. She's been covering this story. And what, going forward, do you think is any indication that what we're going to see in the days ahead?
You know, at this time, it's really hard to say. the only thing that we know is that they are preparing that rock. So when they'll move it, we don't know at this time, and how much of it they'll be moving, we still don't know. It's just, we'll soon find out. And like I said, a lot of very serious decisions will be taking place in the next hours, in the next days, and it's all a race against time before that rain starts again. But you know, a lot of families they have their faith that this will work out for the best. They've never seen anything like this, and we do have a lot of agencies that are out here. So again, just like with all those residents, we are hoping for the best outcome out here.
All right, well, we really appreciate your time, again, giving us that perspective. And I think we're going to go ahead and wrap things up for today. Winnie, more than anything, we've been getting a lot of prayers and a lot of thanks to you and your station for coming on and giving us a great in-depth analysis. One thing I love about Facebook Live is, you know, you don't have to say the whole story in 2 minutes. We can give a lot of detail, and that's why we really appreciate you again and everybody else, the journalists who have been joining us and letting us know what the local officials have to say, because the coverage as a team, it just works out so much better.
Thank you.
All right, guys, so we're going to wrap things up here from the Digital Weather Center in Atlanta. This has been another Facebook Live on Oroville, California. You know this is not going to be the last time that we cover this for you, so please let us know what questions you have going forward, and we will do our best to get them answered, okay? Again, a lot of prayers being sent out this way.